Z of Zombies Future Z Part 8 Clocktime. Mental at the main entrance of the airport, perceiving a constant increase in the nervousness of the people, saw the taxi that brought Schrödinger and the visitors who did not see him, although for a fraction of a second the gazes of Mental, and of Mental, crossed, and there was an intense exchange of information, expressed in flashes so fast, that went beyond human capture, and from the security cameras, that they could take them for twins. Schrödinger hurriedly entered the airport building, and Mental followed him by chance. Schrödinger was still carrying his backpack and the thermal bag carrying the original disc. Schrödinger headed to the passenger check-in area. Mental and Helen were deliberately ignored, but neither of the two stopped paying attention to Schrödinger, and especially to the pocket with the hard drive. Then Schrödinger went straight to the bar, ordered a double whiskey, and sat down with shame on Sean, who kept an eye on him. Mentally, at a prudent distance, he seemed distracted by a window showing models of cell phones. Two men of ordinary appearance and overweight approached Schrödinger. Without mediating greetings, the lower said, "There is no time, we have a helicopter waiting for us. Mr. Vaughn wants to see you immediately." The other man, taller and with a cold look, added, "Don't ask questions. Follow us." Schrödinger left his glass of whiskey half finished and stood up. Sean, from his position, watched the scene carefully. Mental, apparently absorbed in cell phones, also followed every move. The two men led Schrödinger to the exit. The people at the airport seemed to charge an emergency at every more disturbing moment. The corridors were now filled with people increasingly nervous and worried about dealing with their flights. Rafaela, from his position, followed the trio. Helen, strategic, prepared herself for any event. Time was stretching, and the future was pending in a delicate balance. Sean made an almost imperceptible sign to Mental, who interpreted the meaning and turned, avoiding people who walked in a hurry with an expression of anguish towards the shipyards. Sean, leaving the bar, heard a scream, and hurried the step toward the positions of Rafaela and Helen, crossing with the three airport security officers who were already running towards the source of the scream that was beginning to multiply. As the visitors went out to the hangar area following Schrödinger and his two companions, the blast ghoul invaded the airport hall, and the sound of shouting and firearms were multiplied, and the airport turned into a whirlwind of chaos. Sean, following his instinct, rushed toward the positions of Rafaela and Helen. Screams and shots resounded in the corridors, and the sound of footsteps was mixed with widespread panic. Rafaela and Helen were on maximum alert. The Brute ghoul, like a tide of nightmare, invaded the airport hall. The lifeless bodies rose up, their empty eyes shining with an insatiable hunger. Schrödinger and his two companions were advancing towards the hangar. The helicopter waited, and the fate was accelerating towards an uncertain outcome. The visitors had to follow them, but also confront the threat that multiplied around them. One of the security officers interposed between the three men and the hangar to which they were heading, and one of Schrödinger's companions, and stopped suddenly and pulled out a gun from under his shirt, and a shot was fired into his abdomen. Immediately a shooting was started with other security agents, and Schrödinger ran out to this hangar, while the visitors were kept on good guard. Mental was following the developments of the events. Schrödinger was carrying his backpack and pocket, but in the hands of the lower companion, Mental, he saw the hard disk. As the two men ran, the tallest, at a sign of the lowest, threw what seemed to be a smoke grenade into the hangar. Mental identified real-time that it was a lethal gas compound, and ran at supernatural speed to Rafaela, Helen, and Sean to take them to a safe distance. The two men who had led Schrödinger into the trap that was laid on him in the hangar, walked rancidly by the effort and some bullet wound in the direction of a small helicopter. But then, a man in an elegant suit and impeccable posture interfered in his way. At the distance where the visitors were, only Mental heard a brief dialogue before in a rapid exchange of shots culminating with the elegant man carrying the record. The visitors, in a rapid exchange of gazes and signals, coordinate their action. The urgency of the moment requires precision and speed. With agility and secrecy, Rafaela is ahead of the man. She slips in the shadows, her breath is controlled. When the man approaches the helicopter, she appears in front of him, blocking his way. "Hi, who are you?" he asked sympathetically. Helen, from a position, pointed his weapon toward the man. Don't move, he warned him. Your finger is on the trigger, ready to act if necessary. Helen did not hesitate, her training supported her. Sean emerged behind the man, his combat experience allowed him to approach without being detected. He murmured in the agent's ear. You have something that belongs to us. Deliver the disc. Mental, always analytical, scanned the man. Detects any hidden threat, any suspicious movement. What is your goal, he asks. Trapped among the four, he evaluated his options. The helicopter whistled in the distance, but its destiny was in the hands of the visitors. The hard disk, the broad goal and the truth behind the apocalypse converge at this moment. The man, with an enigmatic smile, looks at the visitors. Her dark eyes seem to contain more secrets than she revealed. The disc, he murmured. It's just a piece of the puzzle. The outbreak is not just an isolated event. Raphael is choking the whistle. What are you insinuating? The man shrunk his shoulders. I am just a messenger. The disc is a key to quantum systems. There are others, but this must not fall into the wrong hands. Helen pressed his weapon against the man's side. Why do you want the record? Ah, that's the interesting thing, replies the man, as I said before, in order to prevent it from falling into bad hands, the content, badly administered, has already produced a damage that will be difficult, but impossible to contain. If I can't recover the disc, my instructions are to delete it or destroy it, said while activating a tiny electric condenser that carried on a large silver ring and erased the contents of the disc without the visitor's hashtag would notice it, except Mental. Mental with his different systems, perceived the change of electromagnetic field without being affected and looking at Sean said to everyone, here you can conclude, we must not delay this man, if so they think. Sean looked at Mental with a certain air of complicity, assuming you have reasons for this proposal, the less time we are here, the better, and addressing the man with our apologies for interrupting him, we all have to go because their goals come, sir. Coulson, replied the man, John Coulson.